All right, we have Dusty Baker, the new manager of the Nationals. And Dusty, talk about what it's like being here with the Nationals here in Viera.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's a lot better town than I thought because I had never heard of Viera. I've been all over Florida, playing in the Florida State League and as a kid, and then in spring training in Vero Beach and in West Palm Beach. But Viera is a brand new city. I haven't seen an old part of Viera yet, and it's really pretty nice. I love water. I live on the beach, but there's water everywhere. Fresh water, brackish water, Indian River, and I love to fish. And I haven't been fishing yet; it's been working. But my dad's originally from Lakeland. My mom's from Riverside, California. And I've only been to Lakeland twice. Once as a kid when my grandma died that I hadn't met, and we took a train all the way from California to Lakeland. And I'd been there one other time when I was with the Dodgers and we were playing I was with the Braves and we were playing the Tigers. And so it's kind of, I'm looking forward to, even though I heard it's a long bus ride from here, you know what I mean? But it's different coming here to Florida because I had trained in Arizona forever, but I'm excited about being here.
Yeah, and I guess just excited about being back in baseball, right?
Yeah, well, I'm excited because it's not only back in baseball, I'm more excited about where I'm back in baseball in D.C. and with this team. And they got some very loose guys on this team. They got some outstanding players, and they got some characters, which I don't mind, being around because characters, tend to be loose and they tend to be players. Quite frankly, I think the toughest thing is going to be, I've never been in the Eastern Division before, and the toughest thing I'm gonna think is knowing how to program this team to deal, with the changes and the highs and lows of the weather. Because early I heard it's cold, and in the summertime I played in Richmond for 2 years, so I know it's hot, which I prefer. But I've heard
right when you came through Atlanta.
Yeah, when I came to Atlanta.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I know when we came through, probably dealing with rain delays. Because I know a couple times we played in Baltimore and in the interleague and played in D.C. And man, it was like, it was like a hurricane almost. The storms would come in and you could see it, and the sky would turn black.
Right.
And then just trying to program my pitching staff and program my players to deal with it.
Now, talking about your players, they're here in spring training. What's the most important thing that they should get out of this spring training?
I think, number one, to return to being to think like champions, and to come out of here hopefully healthy. Because that was the thing that hurt this team last year was health, and the game it's a lot easier when you're healthy.
How do you do that though? How do you get?
Well, some of it's through the grace of God and luck, and some of it's through combined effort of our medical staff and our fitness staff. My staff of coaches that know how to run this race, knowing when a guy should take a day off, or knowing when a guy is hobbling a little bit and he won't tell you, and recognize the signs. Part of it's nutrition, how you take care of yourself, and part of it is training for this race. This is a marathon. This is a long race. This is what we signed on to do. And the way I look at it, how many people have an 8-month job and then they're off for 4 months. You know what I mean? That's a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And all of us dreamed of this, of a job like this, because we all wanted to be pros. You just don't luck up on being a pro.
No, you don't.
You know what I mean?
I know that.
Yeah, because you know how many hours and days and weeks that these guys spent out here playing as a kid when everybody else said it was too hot, it was too cold, or you had to play by yourself. And so, you spend a lot of hours out there long before you start getting paid. And so, I mean, you're doing something that you've always wanted to do. You're doing something that you dreamed of doing that very few, ever get to do.
I asked Bryce Harper earlier today, does he have a little more pressure on him now that he had those lofty numbers and he was MVP? And you're coming in to manage an MVP who, yeah, may have a little more pressure, but you were saying earlier that you would like to be Bryce for a few years.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother
It's not
me.
a tough job being
No,
an
well,
MVP.
it's a tough
I
job,
mean,
but the thing about it is when you're blessed with a whole bunch of talent,
yeah,
it's a lot easier on Bryce than it is somebody hitting 220.
right,
Imagine what that guy's like. I
yeah,
mean, I remember Sean Dunston used to say after he got 3 hits that he used to go home. He was going to go home that night and sleep like Tony Gwynn. And he said Tony Gwynn slept well every night because he was
right,
getting 2 or 3
right,
hits. You
right.
know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
I mean, let's face it, that this game, when you're going badly, man, it won't let you sleep too much. And when you're going good, well, you sleeping like Tony Gwynn. So,
What kinds of things you think you can help Bryce with?
just with being himself, being around other MVPs, with patience, with tolerance, from being around the great Barry Bonds to see what it was like not to get pitched to, to see, to help Bryson know sometimes he's gonna get knocked down, and how to deal with it, and how to keep your cool, and how to deal with some success and some failures. Because I came into this game rather successful myself. I wasn't Bryce, but I mean, there are going to be some ups and downs, and people are going to look for his kryptonite. They're going to see they're going to try to find out what he can hit and then exploit it. And so it's up to Bryce, which I understand he's a student of the game big time, to figure out what they're trying to do to him. But above all, I mean, the dude's 23 years old, and probably never was able to be a kid. And I urge him to just be himself. And if at some time he wants to be a kid, be a kid, because I mean, he got plenty of time to get old, and plenty of time, and hopefully lucky enough to be 66. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, man, these last 40 years since I was the same age as Bryce have flown by, and you probably,
Right, right.
attest to the same thing,